Okay, let's speak to Danny Shaw, who is the Head of Strategy and Insight at Crest Advisory. Danny, thanks for joining us on the programme. Although clearly this is an awful human tragedy, this is very much now a political row. Lots of finger pointing across the channel. How do you think it's been dealt with by both Britain and France?
It's a very unedifying sight to have such a tragedy like this and for it then to spill over into a war of words between Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, and President Emmanuel Macron from France. It's very unfortunate because what really needed to happen after this tragedy in the English Channel was for the two countries to come together to stop the inflammatory rhetoric, to work together, joint working, to try and fix this problem. I don't think they're going to solve the problem. There is a problem of international migration and asylum seekers coming into Europe, trying to get into the UK. You're not going to stop that, but you can at least make efforts to try to stop people making these dangerous journeys across this stretch of water. And that requires diplomacy, negotiations on a sort of on a basis which is done with mutual respect. And what you have at the moment is Britain, publishing this letter in a way that was, I think, partly meant to sort of try and appease the conservative backbenchers in Parliament, and then France retaliating pretty much and saying, well, we withdraw the invitation for Priti Patel to attend the talks on Sunday. It's really very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that France has sort of uninvited or disinvited Britain to a summit at the weekend, which might actually achieve something, we don't know. But what do you make of some of the proposals that we're hearing that are being put up, like, the UK putting immigration officers perhaps on French soil to examine asylum claims in France?
I think that's a really interesting proposal. It appears to have come from the French side. But the UK government, in the letter, the Boris Johnson letter, doesn't mention that precise proposal. But it is potentially a way in which you could deter people who want to come to the UK from actually making that journey because they know they would have a route and a possibility of having those asylum claims processed before they get to Britain. Now, that kind of scheme has happened before when Britain was part of the EU for unaccompanied children. Where some of the claims were assessed before they got to the UK and then they were allowed to travel to Britain. And it could be a way of fixing it. I think the concern for Britain is that it would act as a magnet and pull in more people who would know that while they have to come to a centre in northern France, they can get their asylum claim processed. And then, of course, the concern would be if it's rejected, they would try and make that journey. But there would have to be a strong signal that if that claim was rejected, and they came to Britain illegally, they would be turned back straight away. So that it would require quite something to put it into effect. But it is a possibility. I just don't know whether Boris Johnson would agree to it.
OK, Danny, thank you. Danny Shaw, they're the Head of Strategy and Insight at Crest Advisory.